All right, we are here for, I believe, our last session. I would like to introduce Jocelyn Stilwell-Tong and Julie Horst. Jocelyn is the law librarian from the California Court of Appeals 6th Appellate District, and Julie is a branch librarian at the Ninth Circuit Court Library. This is my cat Oolong, who refuses to leave me alone.
Hi, Oolong.
Julie and Jocelyn have been valued members of NoCal for a very extended period of time, in my own humble opinion, and I'd like to welcome to this session group activity AI prompting. At this time, I would like also encourage anybody, if you want to speak, because it is interactive, please take yourself off of mute, and you can go ahead and put yourself on camera if you feel so inclined as well. Thank you and welcome.
Yeah, and if you're more comfortable using the chat function, go ahead, that's fine. We will ask April to bust in with any chat comments when she feels it's appropriate. Sounds like a plan, April?
Sounds good.
Okay, all right. Well, I am gonna go ahead and share my screen. If I could have your patience for one moment. Share. Okay, folks, so welcome to AI Prompting for Law Librarians. I'm Jocelyn, this is Julie. We're both court librarians. I'm with the State Court of Appeals, 6th Appellate District in San Jose. And Julie is?
I'm at the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit.
Yeah.
And I would like to acknowledge that we're on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Ohlone people.
Yeah, and that is where we are today. It's where both of our courts are. And thank you for that, Julie.
Thank you.
All right. Let's move to the next slide. Well, there we go. All right. So just a quick roadmap for this last presentation, which we are trying to make sure is an interactive, kind of light and fun presentation to close out our wonderful 2024 NoCal Institute. We're going to talk just very briefly about legal research AI products. We already had one session on AI today, and she went very in depth, so this will just be a very surface level conversation. And then we're going to have a discussion of general prompting tips. So these are not legal specific, but Julie will talk a little bit about that. And then we're going to do a group activity together and put together a NoCal poem about everything we learned today with the help of some AI.
And the audience.
Yes, and we'll have questions and discussions hopefully throughout. All right. So if I could have everyone, if you're online, if you could use your reactions buttons to raise your hand if you have ever used any AI at all, any Gen AI, I mean, the new kind. I see lots of hands going up on the screen. That's lovely. We've got people in the room.
We got people in the room.
Yeah, I have. Yes. All right, so we've got some good representation there.
Keep your hand up.
Keep your hands up. If you have used legal research AI products, and by those I mean anything that you have done a trial on, that you have paid for, that you signed up for, and it's free, keep your hand up.
Still a lot of hands.
But still a lot of hands. All right. And as far as other AI generators go, have you experimented? Keep your hand up if you've experimented with text to image generators. All right, we've got some people in-house here. I know Canva, which I use for flyers at my office, has a really cool AI generator that they partner with. And I have experimented with that and been sometimes impressed and sometimes really confused by the results.
What about a video? Anybody made a video? There's video generators. There are poetry generators. How about music or lyrics? You can put it in the chat if you want to put something in there that you've used, that you like, that you recommend. You can.
That you just think is fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's go on to the next screen. You can jump in at any time here, guys, but I'm going to talk very briefly, since this is a law library conference and most of us are law librarians. We're going to talk just a minute about legal research and the Gen AI products that are available in the legal research realm. I've got the 4 largest at this time on the screen. So Lexis Plus AI, CoCounsel, which has now been wrapped into Westlaw Precision, and Paxton AI. There are a few more out there, but honestly, there are not a ton. Hey, I see a hand up from Tina. Go ahead.
Have you guys had any experience, or there's another one, Vincent AI from VLEX, which merged with Fastcase last year.
Yeah.
And they have recently come out with their Vincent AI.
I'm excited about that one because it's more of a global legal AI. And I've heard, and I'm looking forward to seeing if this is true, that it speaks multiple languages. And so that's going to be fun to experiment with. The thing that all of these AI have in common, all of these companies, all of these products that you see on the screen. Oh, Harvey AI is also legal oriented. Thank you, Catherine. Yeah,
Christy Chamorro also mentioned Describe with a Y.
Ooh, Describe.
AI.
Ooh, that's one I hadn't heard of, so that's pretty cool. I see Ramona has a quick comment here. We'll circle back to you, Ramona, sorry. She asked the VLEX rep a question at the Scal Institute, and she sent me the answer that Vincent generated. What did you think, Ramona? We'll circle back to you later. You can tell us your thoughts. It was good. Okay, that's great. Well, the thing that all of these companies have in common, you know, and our friend from Lexis was very upfront about this, is that it takes a lot of money to set them up. It takes a lot of money to run them. You need a lot of computer chips. You need a lot of power, energy, you know, like electricity. Their PG&E bill must be something to behold. So all of the major players right now are companies that were already really big, or companies like CoCounsel that were able to somehow get early access to the Gen AI software. So CoCounsel, I know from a presentation, I believe last year at Tony's Institute, they were able to get access to Gen AI through ChatGPT 4. And got kind of a head start. And the minute that they saw it and saw what it could do, Pablo said that they pivoted the entire company that minute to take advantage. And now, a few short months later, Westlaw has incorporated all of their stuff, bought them out, paid upwards of $500 million for them. So I think that was a very good investment. And one I wish I had gotten in on. Oh, well. Lexis actually had early access to Gen AI technology as well, because they've had a partnership with Microsoft for some years now. And so they were able to sort of backdoor in that way. Paxton is one of those AI companies that is, you know, it's a startup. I believe they're built on ChatGPT 4 technology, and it looks like they're aiming for the more affordable end of the market. They do still have a free product available for individual users, and then, you know, the pricing seems like it's like $99 a month per user, something like that, which for AI at this stage is not that unreasonable. All right, so
let's move on.
Let's move on to prompting.
General prompting. Before you think about giving a prompt, think about what a prompt is. It could be data that you input. It could be some sort of example that you give AI. And then you're going to based on whatever that is, you're going to either give it an instruction or you're going to ask it some questions. And Tess McCarthy is a former digital asset management librarian, former public librarian, and she's now a content developer. And she thought long and hard about this idea of prompting. And as a librarian, we love acronyms. So here is the acronym she came up with: prompt. I can't hear laughing, but I'm sure people are. So she devised this to help prompt engineers get better at prompting bots. You know, all those chat bots that you interact with, that's all AI, and it's all been trained with these different kinds of prompts to answer your questions better. And it's very simple. It's anything that this is useful for general prompting that you and I, if you didn't raise your hand and you haven't tried any AI, this will help you. And we're just going to go through each letter. So P is for persona. So who is the AI acting as? Is it a medical information specialist? Is it a medical information specialist who needs to teach to some fifth graders? What you tell it to do will help you get your answers better. R is for resources. Where do you want the AI to look for answers to your questions? Are you looking for an answer from the World Wide Web, or do you want something grounded? Like maybe you do want Lexis AI just because you want Lexis products to give you your answers.
You can also upload materials and give it a bounded universe of resources to use and explore when you're inquiring the AI.
Elicit is a good one for that.
Yes.
O is for order of operations. So show of hands, who remembers Boolean operators? Yeah, right.
My favorite.
The AI is math.
Yeah.
Look at all those hands.
Yeah.
AI is math. Jen, during our lunchtime talk, touched on this a little bit. It seems like magic, but it is math. It's proximity. It's words that are probably going to be next to each other. So your order of operations is going to make a difference. You might first ask AI to give you a list of all the countries in the world with female presidents, and then you might ask AI to put that list into a table format. M is for manners. You are the human. You tell AI how to behave. If it's giving you a biased answer, you tell it that's not allowed or that's unacceptable. Another thing that Jen touched on was that it's going to make mistakes, and she told it that it had made a mistake. So you want to correct it to refine your response. The second P is for prompt, just to reiterate the requirements. You want to include a request and a task. And you can also give it your desired format. You can also think of P as plain language.
Yeah. Or promise. What promise do you want it to fulfill when it answers your question?
And T is for technical. So you might need to give the AI some sort of technical background. If you ask AI to make a table and it doesn't know what a table is, you might have to upload an example so that it knows what a table is. You could upload a draft of your cover letter and have AI fix it. So you tell it what you're looking for.
All right. Excellent. So
We're going to sip some water.
if anyone
you can
has
ask us questions.
you can put them in the chat box. You can shout them out. If you're here in the room, you can wave your arms around and do the hokey pokey.
We have a lot of dancing happening in this room right now.
All right. Well,
I don't see
with our
anything.
water drunk,
We're good.
we're going to move on, folks. If you're still typing, we'll circle back to you. All right. So, as law librarians, when we're interacting with Gen AI, you're going to have a leg up on any other profession in terms of making sure that you know how to communicate with it, because you're communicating with the AI much like you want your attorneys to communicate with you. You, as a law librarian, have years of experience of doing reference interviews. So you know generally what you need to have when you are looking for a legal answer. You know that a fact pattern is helpful to know about. You know that it's important to let AI know, or it will be important for a questioner to let you know that you're representing the plaintiff or the defendant or the appellant or the respondent or the insured or the insurer. So if you tell AI who you are, who they are, who you want them to be, it works way better than it does with real people. And of course, always be sure to tell the system your jurisdiction, because as to court law librarians, the law in my California court and the sources that we use are very different than the sources that Julie uses for the federal court. And AI will take that into account, especially a dedicated legal AI, but you have to let it know. So,
And along those lines, we have a question there in the chat. Are either of your courts using AI?
well, I will let Julie answer that. Short answer, in my case, no.
No.
Yeah. Didn't it get wrapped in with your?
Well, I mean, we have legal research products that have AI built in, but to my knowledge, our IT department has not designed anything.
Okay. All right. So at the moment, my court is still reviewing the policy considerations. So when we were looking at going over to Westlaw Precision, we actually held off on that because we didn't want to get Gen AI before we had done that review and those considerations were addressed. So that's the answer for us. I know that firms are adopting it at a much more breakneck speed. But yeah, it's an interesting question why we have two court librarians here presenting on this. But here we are. All right. I do want to mention that as you're working with AI, and one of the reasons that Julie and I have done so much research on this is that it's not going away. It's not going anywhere. I'm pretty sure that in the future, it's going to be as integral to our daily work lives as email is now. The speed at which we adopt it is going to be different. It took the courts a long time to adopt email, frankly. And yeah, I have stories to tell about intranets, but it's coming. And honestly, it's never going to be worse than it is right now.
Yeah.
It's only going to get better and more essential to our daily work. So now is a good time to prepare for it and learn about it, because it is a pretty low barrier to entry to be an expert at this point. Okay, so
Okay,
jumping around here, guys.
we know that you really are here for the group activity.
Yes.
And what we want to do is have you give us some prompts so that we can together create a poem that summarizes this Spring Institute.
All that we have learned today.
Everything we learned today.
Yeah.
So we're looking for some chats. And I have an account with poe.com. We're going to click on the poem generator one. There's a lot of bots.
First, we're going to reshare our screen because it kicked us out for some reason. So I don't know what that was about, but here we go, sharing our screen with Poe. Share.
So think about what you want
There we
the NoCal Spring Institute poem to say.
Are there any keywords you want it to include? Go ahead and put those in the chat. Ooh, yeah, specify rhyming couplets.
What
All
rhymes
right.
with Jocelyn?
Let's find out. Please draft a policy for court personnel using generative AI for drafting research briefs. And that's a great one to do on your own time, my friend. I'm sorry, but we are not going to be drafting any policies in this session today. We are on the fun train until the end of this institute.
Oh, I like Brian's idea.
Sorry. Ooh, Brian has in the persona of Robert Frost create a haiku on the nature of AI. You know what, Brian? We think in similar streams.
No, like that's one library haikus.
Library haikus. When Julie and I were preparing for this session, we did a series of linked haikus about National Library Week. And so we kind of had this one in the can. And you can see that when we asked AI for this, it gave us a lovely poem, but it did not actually have the correct format for a haiku in the English language. From what I understand, it would be fine in Japanese. Go ahead, Tina.
Can you make the screen?
Ooh,
Can you zoom in on the
can we
screen?
zoom in? Let's find out.
Plus.
Okay.
Oh, there
That's
you go.
better.
Is that better?
Thank you.
Excellent. All right. So it corrected itself and it gave us a properly formatted 575 series of linked haikus.
Val, I like how you're thinking.
Inmates building relationships, blockchain, and squirrels. I think that would be a lovely prompt.
So let's go.
I'm gonna have Julie go over to the poem generator, and we'll go
No,
ahead
it's too
and.
big.
There we
No,
go.
I don't. I want to start a new.
I want to start a new thread.
There we go.
Okay. Now we don't want to have our National Library Week one informing the new poem.
So what was one of the suggestions? Was something about couplets? Or...
In the style of Robert Frost.
Okay. Talk amongst yourselves while I'm typing.
In the persona of Robert Frost, create a haiku on the nature of AI.
I will say, my father, who is a minister, has taken the opportunity to take a Bible verse and write an entire sermon surrounding that Bible verse with ChatGPT, and it was kind
Wow.
of close. It was when he first came out with ChatGPT. He was like, "Well, this is going to take over my job," and I'm like, "Of course it will," because that is definitely what pastors are afraid of.
Yeah. There's no element of human connection in that job whatsoever.
Not even one bit. But it was actually a pretty darn good, like 15 solid minutes of a good sermon.
Nice.
I'm gonna push go.
All right,
Go.
let's see how it goes. In the
Failed to
style-
send.
What? We have internet. We're on Zoom. Sending.
Ooh.
There we
Ooh.
go. In the halls of knowledge, they did convene the NoCal Spring Institute of 2014.
Okay,
Oh,
wrong.
Where librarians gathered, their minds eager to learn, to share wisdom and insights, their passion did burn.
Ooh, burning.
Amidst the blooming trees where spring held its sway, they gathered in unity on this glorious day, their hearts filled with purpose, their spirits alive, seeking answers and connections, ready to thrive. As Robert Frost once
Okay,
wrote.
wait, stop. This is way too long.
Yeah, I agree.
So now, here's what we have to do. Look at that, way too long.
A
So
lot.
this is where we can take another turn, as they
Mhm.
say in prompting lingo, and tell it what we want it to keep, tell it what it needs to fix.
Yeah. Let's say it can be no more than 4 stanzas,
Okay,
4 paragraphs. actually.
so please reduce
Yes.
this. Now, remember what M stands for? Manners.
Well, that's, can we put a link
Yeah.
to the general?
We're actually planning to put together a list of resources for everyone after the Institute, which will include a link to this particular prompt as well as to the Poe AI generator.
Okay, and it still says 2014. That's
Mm.
bad.
Yeah,
I said 4 stanzas. It gave me 3.
okay.
The numbers aren't its strong suit.
Yes.
Even though it's all based on math.
Sorry if I was unclear. Will Poe.com accept a link as an input? Interesting. I have not tried that. So if we put the link to
Did
the
I
No
type
Cal
in?
Spring Institute and said, please use the information on this page to generate a poem.
Oh yeah, you can do that.
That would probably work, yes. And Tina has dropped the Poe.com link
No.
Brian
into
did
the
too.
chat, and so did Brian. Thank you. All right. So let's tell the generator to rewrite without a year, because clearly it doesn't know what year it is, and add references to inmates, squirrels. What was the other one that was?
Blockchain.
Blockchain. Any other keywords?
A squirrel on its way to Bora Bora.
In the year 2024, a gathering took place, the No Cal Spring Institute with knowledge to embrace. It's fun. What can I say? We wanted to end the Institute on a light note. I tried to use the link generator, but it asked for my phone number. Man,
You're supposed to have an anonymous email address that you use in times like this.
all right. Well, we are at half an hour, folks, and I know we actually have 45 minutes for our presentation, but
Oh, I love the last 2 sentences.
with blockchain and a squirrel, a tale to be told of a spring institute that broke barriers bold.
Bianca,
There you go.
there you have
Welcome.
it.
You know what, folks? I think that one of the points we wanted to make today is that when you're using AI, you really need to be an active participant in the results that come out of it. And
It's a conversation.
it's a conversation. And at a certain point, you just kind of need to take it and
tell it when it's
use it as
wrong.
a starting point, and then get it to the finish line.
And like what Matthew said,
Mhm.
he tells the prisoners, they come in, they use the technology, they can't break it.
Yeah.
Well, you can't break this.
Yeah.
You can only make it better. It's learning now based on what we just fed it.
Mhm.
And because I started this project 6 months ago, and it's very different now than it was in 6 months. So if you haven't used it at all, definitely later on, Jocelyn and I will send you some resources.
Mhm.
I want you to all at least download Perplexity AI on your phone. I'm telling everybody in the room, I'm telling all of you. I mean, I don't work for them or anything, but
I'm not going to do it. My phone's out of storage. Sorry, Julie.
But just use it, because you can ask Perplexity AI a question, and unlike Google, you will not get any advertisements in your answer.
That is nice. Yeah, that's a good thing. That's one reason to ask a librarian instead of Google as well. Nobody's paying us to advertise their products. More's the pity, All right. Yes.
Anything we
Brian
missed
says
in the
Perplexity
chat?
is great.
Did we miss anything in the
Did we
chat?
miss anything in the chat, April?
No, I don't see it. I do have a question. Like, is it just a conversation? Say we keep going with this poem, is there a limit? Or is it there is no limit to how many modifications or changes you can make to the original prompt?
I've gone up to 5 times, and usually I'm happy with the answer after 5 times. It's different with text to image. I had a very hard time with text to image. I don't know if that's because I'm not anybody who does art, but I had a really hard time conveying what I wanted the picture to look like. And with poetry, I think that's kind of also true. You're gonna need to have more turns, as they say. The LLMs are bigger. They've added more. So it seems like and they're also more powerful. So it seems like it's giving you more turns. I would think you could probably go 7, maybe 10 times.
Okay.
Okay.
Ooh, Dr. Seuss.
All right. So I see Christy says she recently got a copy of Co-Intelligence by Ethan Mollick Wharton, which is great so far. Ooh, that's good to know. All right, we'll add that into our
Resource list.
resource list.
And look, there's the squirrel. The squirrel
Meta
showed up
AI.
in the
I'll still.
All right.
inmates and librarians side by side.
Well, that is
It's
accurate.
joyous
The
and
prison
good.
library for sure.
The librarians are running the asylum.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, we already knew that. Let's just be honest.
We did. All right, folks.
That's it.
This is
I think
fantastic.
Yeah.
If
we
you guys
wanted
want to keep going, we can keep
Sure.
going. Or if you're done, we can take a little bit of a break before we head to the closing remarks by Bianca. But this has been fascinating. And I actually, if you don't mind us taking you a little bit on a journey, could
April,
we
you
look?
have a story. You have a story of using AI for work.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was supposed to give that a double A, double L, but I guess I could do a bit of a
Get a
preview.
preview.
Okay.
My law firm has used it a couple times. We have done a little bit within like the research strategy or area. One of the ways that we have done this that I found very interesting is, you know, how you get those requests where it's like, hey, I've got this company and I need to know if the company or any of their subsidiaries has ever been sued by such a person or just in general in this practice area. And we have our own generative AI program that we can use, knowing that it's not going to go anywhere else. But one of the researchers put it into the prompt of take all of these company names, and I think it was over 100. And they were like, take all of these company names and put an or in between all of them. That way, you didn't actually have to do all of the Boolean search structure that you know you're going to do. It take forever on. And it put it all together in parentheses and like kicked it out. So all you had to do is copy and paste. It was phenomenal.
From what I remember of Sarah Lynn's presentation on data science, that sounds like it would make the data science much faster in terms of formatting. So that's excellent.
Yeah, I mean, there are these little things that people do every day that are formatting relating or like really, really just rote things that you don't think you can ever change. But if you take a little bit of time to like talk to the generative AI prompt and like figure out if maybe that's something it can kick out for you, it is a huge time saver.
Absolutely. Well, I love it that April and Jen both made the point that you want to outsource anything you dislike, and AI is a great way to do that. Although I will mention that with that in mind, it's kind of depressing that legal research is at the top of the list of uses for AI. Because I love doing legal research. It's one of my favorite things. So, but you know what? That's why we all have jobs. So there you go.
What was your idea, April? You wanted us to do something else?
Oh, I was gonna think maybe we could take a moment and try to do an image generator and see how that works. Because I personally have never seen that. Do any of you have an account that's readily available?
June Liebert was recommending meta.ai, but I don't know if it requires
Do we have
account.
to create an account? Let's
I
check it
don't
out.
know if it does.
To a different one.
Okay.
That you have a-
Jen mentioned that she also uses Dolly and Copilot as well. Sure, other resources.
Nice.
This is crayon, because it's a cute pun on AI and
I
crayon.
approve.
All right.
So let's put in a law librarian at a correction facility.
Okay.
Do you guys have you come across what it does if you spell things incorrectly? Because that is going to be user error is my Achilles.
Well, not only spelling things incorrectly, but even capitalization makes a difference, because when I was asking AI about one of our judges who's named Jennifer Sung, S-U-N-G, and I did not capitalize her name, it kept trying to figure out which judge named Jennifer sang a song.
Mhm.
Oh,
So I had to take out her first name and I put Judge Sung, and then it found it on the internet because it's trying to predict what word's going to come next, and then it gave me a correct answer.
oh, that's really fascinating. I know I've always wondered about in specific legal frame. I know that it will frame it right if you put like this is the tort area of law or this is like real estate area of law, but what it tends to do with words that are similar but wildly different in legalese. I can't think of an example off of my top of my head, but tort or oh my goodness.
That's a lot of squirrels.
It's been
That's a lot
overwhelmed
of
by squirrels.
Yeah.
Only pictures of squirrels.
I think you might start with the law librarian, like keeping it simple, and then add maybe a place, and then maybe put a squirrel in at the end.
See, that would be an excellent order of operations. Thank you, Julie. I am one of those Boolean searchers that just uses a bajillion parentheses, as you can probably tell from my search strategy right here.
Did it give you a law librarian yet?
No, it's still drawing.
Oh, it's still drawing.
Yeah.
This is why we did the poem, because I tried to make a song and that took probably almost 5 minutes
Yeah.
to render.
Oh,
It's true.
wow.
This is why we did poems first.
That's okay. Oh, did you guys do where you fed it the URL to the Spring Institute and see what it brought up
Here we
for
go.
the poem generator?
Oh, there's our
I
law
like this.
librarians.
You know,
Oh, is she in prison?
No.
Feels
Oh, she's in
like
the
it.
library. She's imprisoned in the library.
Depends on your
Oh my.
perspective.
this one's a little creepy. Yeah, you know what? I am not mad at this. I like it that it took until this one to have books, although that is arguably a book or a computer screen. I can't really tell.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Sorry for all the
I
ads.
find it,
It's a free site.
sorry. I find the color palette really interesting. If you scroll down, every single one of them have a blue hue. I wonder if that's AI specific or if it's attributing a color to like the concept of corrections, and that's why they're using the color blue. You know, like movies have specific color palettes that are allowed.
Yeah, so when you're doing your art, you want to say maybe you want black and white, or you want a cartoon drawing, or you can give it those kinds of instructions. My friend, who's currently volunteering at a school library in Guyana in South America, uses AI. She works with the teacher, finds out what the vocabulary words are for the week. She takes those words, she uses AI to make cartoon pictures that kind of match with the vocabulary. And then she also has it make a story using the vocabulary words. And then she puts it all together and can send out these little cartoon comic books to the kids. And it's really helped them get much better at their vocabulary words.
Oh, that's interesting. Jen also stated
Oh.
that you can adjust the color palette by adding the color
Ooh.
hex or Pantone.
Yes,
I
yes, you
remember,
can do
Jen,
that.
you had mentioned that during your presentation. I had forgotten. It's a shortcut for getting the Lexus colors on everything. How cool.
Oh, Bianca, you're gonna like this poem a lot better, I think.
Christy, I see that you've
Yeah,
got your hand up. Would you like?
yes. My Zoom is being a little wonky, so I wasn't even able to type in the group chat, but I was going to say if it lets me, I use Dolly and then Sketchy on GPT-4, that if it lets me share my screen, it's actually, I did a presentation to 1Ls, and actually using the image generators is a great way to get across how sort of funky sometimes the outputs of these LLMs can be. Like you mentioned spelling. What I'm looking at in my chat GPT right now is it really has trouble with, if you say generate an image of a bear with saying Berkeley Law 1L, it can't spell, it has trouble with spelling. And it's really amazing in GPT-4. You can now highlight an area of an image and say, for instance, I said, please make this bear look happier, and it will modify a portion of the image rather than have to regenerate the entire image. It's really interesting. And sorry, I can't put my camera on either because my Zoom is being tricky. But
Yeah, sometimes Zoom is like that, you know?
Yes.
It wouldn't be an institute without some technical difficulties, right? I've
Yeah.
heard that one of the dead giveaways for AI generated art is that you don't always have the correct number of fingers when you have a human. So
Sometimes
that's
you end up with
interesting.
2 left legs.
Yes,
also.
yes.
Mm.
All right.
Okay, so this is usually actually something I talk about when I talk about AI and like some of the challenges with it. So we talked about sort of text and how it's just a next word prediction, right? But with pixels, it's just a next pixel prediction. And we know that we have 5 fingers, but AI doesn't. So, like, the likelihood of them predicting too many or too few fingers is actually really high. It's utterly fascinating to think about, like, the text and the images and audio and sort of how all of that goes together. But yeah, it's basically the same issue we have with LLMs. It's just a high prediction model, and they don't understand a human hand typically has 5 fingers.
Yeah.
Until it learns.
It someday maybe it will learn.
I heard a statement, and it was some of the first art forms of humanity was pictures of our hands. And that is what we are as humans, and that is what makes us, and that is why AI can't get it, is because they are in fact not human. I thought that was a fascinating but wildly incorrect statement, and I loved it.
Yeah, I would love to see the source attribution on that. I wouldn't doubt it, but you never know.
So that would be a good Turing test for AI. Are you an
Yeah.
artist who can draw 5 fingers on a hand, or are you AI?
Oh, I love this.
Taylor
I
Swift.
love
is a
this, but I
law
can't
librarian.
click on it. Oh no. All right, I'll have to click on that later. That sounds so fun. Yeah, related to what Jen just said about the number of fingers and pixel predictions and the legal industry, this is one of the reasons that bias is such an issue with AI as well, because, you know, our case law goes back to very different concepts of morality and concepts of what's right in society. And, you know, there are times that people are still citing to Old English cases. That's a really long time period. And so if an AI is just trying to predict the next word that comes after something, it's going to be a little biased sometimes, wildly wrong other times.
Yeah, so make sure and tell it.
Yes, yeah. So make sure and tell it, but don't feed your confidential information into any of the public ones.
No.
Jen said that earlier, and yeah, I feel like that's worth reiterating. All right, well, we're at 4:44. Thank you guys for interacting and getting us to the time mark. I appreciate it. April, thank you. Jen, thank you. My favorite bias story is the ruler skin cancer one. Jen, do you want to hop on and tell that one to bring us to the end of the session? If you're willing, you don't have to.
Sure. So I just had to get back to the right window. So there's a really interesting one in healthcare, and I don't know if any of you know this, but AI is actually much better than doctors at predicting diagnoses. So what we're seeing in the medical industry is they want to use AI, but it obviously there's a lot of healthcare and data privacy concerns there. But one of my favorite bias stories comes from a skin cancer app where you could upload a photo of a suspicious spot, and the app could tell you whether it was cancer or not, and it accurately diagnosed cancer 100% of the time.
Wow.
But in pictures that were maybe cancer, it was 100% wrong. It was like wildly inaccurate. And the reason was the training data that was fed into the system anytime it was cancer had a ruler associated with it. So what the model learned was if there's a ruler, it's cancer.
That's
So,
fascinating.
so when we think about bias, it's not even just like what we think of as bias, but also like those weird things. There's another one with OpenAI where there was a video game and it programmed it to win the video game, which just meant getting the most points. And it's this boat that runs around on fire, running into things, even though like the purpose of the game was to finish a race. Again, just sort of another example of how we might think of the end goal as one thing, but AI is like, no, we'll just do it our way and get the most points possible, because that's actually how you win the game, not finishing. Or identifying cancer. Well, it has a ruler, so it's cancer. So very, very interesting.
Yeah.
Thank
it
you.
is.
Yeah,
Thank
of course.
you for that example. That's excellent.
Can we go back to crayon?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
For the law librarian. Oh, yeah.
For the law librarian.
Go.
Oh, there's some
See,
more.
it did change the palette.
It did.
Yeah.
That's
Is that John
interesting.
Malkovich?
I thought it was Christopher Walken
Oh,
over
Christopher
there.
Walken, yeah.
Hi, this is Diane. I noticed that when the law librarian at a correctional institution were all people of color, and now that you took that out, there are many different people here. And so that's why I wanted to go back to this. So this crayon is also biased.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Fascinating. Yeah.
That is fascinating. It's
So that's why you keep
interesting.
working with it and telling it what you want.
It's interesting how playing with some of these more creative kinds of AI can reveal things about the legal AI that we work with on a day-to-day basis, or which we will in the future, in my case. All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, April. Thank you, Bianca. And thanks everybody for your time and attention. This was really fun. All right.
Thank you.
Signing off.
Signing off.
All right. We will have a short break, and Bianca will come back for her closing remarks, and Oolong will be here being aggressively affectionate.
No, I don't think we need a break just for me to say goodbye.
Okay.
I know I scheduled it, but that was really just in case we had like some terrible technological thing and we had to like extend by 45 minutes. No,
That's
just thank
fine.
you. Huge thank you to all the presenters who volunteered their time and were willing to let us all benefit from their expert knowledge. Thank you. Thank you to the planning committee for creating and designing this conference. Thank you to David Holt for rescuing us from the many technical dilemmas we ran into, including updating the NoCal Zoom account at the very last minute due to the high number of attendees. Thanks. And thank you to all of the attendees for making the conference a success. And good night. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Bye.
everybody. It was great. It was really great.
Hmm.